Once upon a time, in the realm of cinematic wonders, a highly anticipated movie awaited its eager viewers. Greetings, dear viewers. Today, we embark on a journey into the captivating world of Venom, a thrilling film that graced the silver screens back in the eventful year of 2018. Brace yourselves for an enthralling tale that will transport us into a realm where darkness intertwines with extraordinary powers. Get ready to be immersed in the mesmerizing spectacle that is the Venom movie. Let the adventure unfold before our very eyes. A space probe tests for life, and these guys find quite a few extraterrestrials. While they are conducting the investigation, a creature accidentally enters the body of the hero of this story. Is the creature that entered Hero's body a good or bad person? What will happen to the hero because of this? Venom Part 1 is an action-adventure fantasy and sci-fi movie like this. Also subscribe to the channel and join our Film Minutes group. So without further ado now, let's dive into the movie. Welcome to Movie Minute. Inside a spaceship, some people start shouting to capture and seal a ship right now. At the same time, after a while, the plane lost control and crashed to Earth. When the people in the control room were looking at what happened, the owner of this space company, Drake, came and asked what happened. They said, "Out of the 4 samples we found, only 3 were found. The other one is missing and all of them are dead now." At the same time, a lady officer at that spot said, "That person is alive," and went to save him. He is also put in an ambulance and taken to the hospital. While doing so, a strange thing comes from inside that person's body, kills all the people there, and enters the police lady's body. At the same time, shortly after the ambulance accident, the accident ambulance also breaks down and this police lady comes out. Her eyes turn white and all the wounds are healed, and she starts walking along the road. After that scene is cut, the hero of our story shows Eddie broke. While he is sleeping, his girlfriend comes and wakes Eddie up saying that she is going to work. Her name is Ann Wying. She works in the Life Founding Company, a space company shown earlier, and Eddie is a news reporter. Eddie is going to meet his boss. The boss tells him, "You have to interview someone." Eddie asks who it is. The boss says, "That's it," says Carlin Drake, owner of the company shown first. Eddie gets very angry about that. Eddie asks, "He is a thief. Why am I interviewing him?" But finally, he agrees to interview because of the boss's request. Eddie goes to a restaurant with his girlfriend and comes home having a good time. While sleeping at night, Eddie gets water, and when he goes to drink water, he sees an email from the Life Foundation company on Ann's laptop, and Eddie checks it. There is a document in it that says that the company used to use the people for investigation and killed them and mentioned their names. Eddie is going to interview Drake the next day. At the end of this interview, because of Eddie's anger with Drake, he starts hearing things like complaints against his company in the email. Drake says, "These are just fake stories." But Eddie says he has proof. At the same time, the interview is stopped and Drake threatens Eddie and leaves. Eddie is going to meet his boss, but because Eddie asked unnecessary questions in the interview, the boss fired Eddie from his job. But Eddie says it's okay and goes to meet my girlfriend. But even then, she was fired from the job. Ann was fired because of this data leak. Eddie is the cause of all this, Ann says, and breaks up with Eddie. Drake is shown on the other side. They bring the aliens they found to the company and start research. At the same time, on the other side, the police officer in the alien body comes to a place where there are some food stalls and starts eating a live animal prepared to be cooked there. Because of this, when the shop owner and others attack the police officer, they all kill the police officer. At the same time, this alien creature enters the body of an old woman who is sitting there. 6 months later, scientists under Drake investigate these aliens and find a lot of information about them. The name of these aliens is Symbiote. In order to live on Earth, they have to adopt the body of an animal. But finding a suitable body for these creatures is also very difficult. First, the animals are tested, and since those tests are successful, it is decided to use humans for this purpose. Also, Drake wants to use these creatures to provide people with the opportunity to live on other planets, but because it uses innocent people and still has to be done with animals, the scientists are unwilling to do this. Now the hero of our story is showing Eddie broke. Because he lost everything, his life has become depressing. So when he comes out of there with a lot of drugs, he shows some people who are very dear to him. This is a beggar woman who collects newspapers for Eddie every day. So Eddie takes a newspaper from her and goes inside a supermarket there. So the woman who owns that shop is very friendly with this. He is scolded even now that he should work with meaning in his life. But Eddie says, for those of you who have such a big shop, it is not a problem to live happily. While he was choosing some items in the shop, a thug who came to the shop pointed a gun at the owner of the shop and took all the money in it. "This money is not enough for me. Another day will come like me," he threatens. But Eddie has nothing to do but wait. Later, Eddie comes home and spends time in sadness. On the other side, Drake comes along with helpless people on the side of the road and starts testing them. A symbiote is released after a human is brought in and placed under an examination chamber. So when this symbiote sees it, it starts screaming in fear. But Drake doesn't care about this. So this symbiote jumps into the man's chest and goes into the body. So after seeing Mead, Drake is very happy. But after a while, that symbiote comes out after destroying this man. The scientists who saw this were very scared. But nothing happened, so Drake asks to bring someone else. Eddie is shown on the other side. While coming to the supermarket, the lady who lives this time is no longer there. When Eddie comes to the supermarket and chooses some goods, someone calls him. It is none other than the scientist who worked with Drake, Dora Skirth. Dora tells our hero Eddie everything. They bring such people and do research, kill them and do such dangerous things and say, "We are the ones who have to do something." Now Eddie says I can't do anything about this and tries to run away, asking him to leave me. Dora continues to follow. Because of this, if you know anything about this, please go to the police and tell them Eddie said. He leaves saying that he should not be involved in this. Eddie goes to his girlfriend's house on his way home. Anne also comes there at that time. Looking at it, Anne found another boyfriend. He is a Dan, and because he is a doctor and brings a lot of good, Anne's new boyfriend leaves to ask these two to talk for a while. At that time, Hattie says to Anne, "I miss you almost every day. It's very difficult to live without you, so we ask Anne if we should start an affair." Anne tells Eddie, "Don't ever let me lose you again." And Anne leaves. So Eddie is very sad and bored with his life. While thinking by a bridge, he sees Dark's company in the distance. At that time, Eddie thinks, "My life was lost because of you. If I get a chance to prove all the things I said once again, I will be able to do something." Eddie calls the number on the card given by Dora and Eddie goes to meet her. Dr. Dora secretly takes Eddie inside her lab. She tells our hero everything about the alien they brought from space and Drake bring people to do research. They die here. Dora tells Eddie a lot of things like that. While these two are talking like this, they see the security guard coming there. So Eddie is sent inside the lab and Dora is going to talk to the security guard. Eddie walks inside the lab and starts taking photos of the lab. At that time, a woman came from the corner of a room and started screaming. It's no one else, the beggar woman who brings newspapers out every day. "I will save you." Eddie starts breaking the glass there. At the same time, that woman jumps on Eddie's body and starts attacking him. At the same time, the symbiote inside the woman's body enters Eddie's body. Now the alarm system is fully on and all the security guards start chasing after Eddie. But unlike usual, he jumps here and there, breaks the doors there, and somehow escapes into the forest. But the security guards start chasing Eddie without giving up. But no one can catch Eddie. He escapes home with difficulty. Now when Eddie comes home, he is very hungry and he starts eating all the food in the house. But after a while, he doesn't have enough of that food. He eats the food in the dustbin and starts vomiting a lot. So finally, when I was looking at the mirrors in the washroom wondering what had happened to me, Eddie lost consciousness after seeing another person inside his body. He was very scared and hit the wall. On the other hand, knowing that a symbiote from Drake's lab is missing, they are very angry and send a team to find this symbiote somehow. On the other hand, the symbiote that entered the grandmother's body enters an airport and sees a small child, and the symbiote enters the child's body. Now that Eddie has evidence to prove that Drake is a bad person, he finds Anne and goes to a restaurant and starts telling Anne everything. But after a while, he gets hungry and without caring where he is, he starts eating the food of the people who are eating here. So after seeing this, Benalda told me to leave here without being ashamed. But Eddie eats all the food there and says they are all dead animals. Eddie jumps into a fish tank there and starts eating the animals in that tank. So as soon as they saw this, the people of the restaurant started calling the police. Because Anne's new boyfriend is a doctor. He tells the owner of that restaurant, "This is a madman. This is my patient," and takes him to the hospital. They take Eddie to the hospital and start scanning him. But as soon as the scan machine was turned on, Eddie began to struggle and scream. But that doctor doesn't understand anything and tells Eddie to go home saying that it will just get better. The humans who were with other Drakes started to die because of these experiments, but these people find a weakness in these symbiotes. That's why it's hard for them to stay if there's a big noise. Now when Eddie gets on a bus and goes home, he suddenly starts hearing a strange voice from inside his body saying, "I'm hungry." So just hearing that voice, Eddie gets very scared and starts running here and there on the bus. At this time, the people on the bus looked at Eddie like he was looking at a madman. So Eddie got off the bus and went home. So as soon as she got home, Anne called Eddie and said, "Don't worry, something like this happened to you because you got an antibiotic." But still, that strange voice coming from inside his body starts to be heard continuously. So Eddie tells Anna, "I'll call you later." Just as he hangs up that call and tries to be free, he hears the sound of a big guitar from the other side of the room. So when Eddie goes to that room and scolds, the boy sitting in that room also starts to scold. That's why Eddie gets angry and his face starts to change in an evil way. So just seeing that face, that boy gets very scared. On the other hand, Drake learns that Dr. Dora brought Eddie to this lab. That's why Drake locks Dora in a room and releases a symbiote. When Eddie was in the room, he heard someone knocking on the door of his room, and the voice coming from inside his body told Eddie, "Don't open that door now." But as soon as Eddie opened the door of the room without hearing this, some of Drake's group came and grabbed Eddie. At that time, another man came there and pointed a gun in Eddie's direction, saying, "You should give us what belongs to Drake." Then a strange creature comes from Eddie's body and attacks them, and Eddie escapes from there. At that time, the leader of that group sends all the videos that happened there to Drake. When Drake saw that video, Drake was very happy that the symbiote had taken over Eddie's body. Drake tells his group to catch the symbiote and Eddie. So Drake's group and his drone chase after Eddie. But now, since there is a symbiote inside Eddie's body, Eddie escapes from them without any trouble. But suddenly a car comes and hits Eddie. Eddie gets hurt a lot because of the car crash. When Drake's group goes to attack Eddie, all Eddie's wounds are healed, and the alien living inside Eddie's body comes out. They come and attack Drake's group and run away. After escaping from there, the alien tells Eddie, "I am Venom. We were the ones who found you before you found us. I have a small mission. If you help me with that mission, I will drop you off." Drake has a spaceship. We boarded it. We want to come with our people. He says like everything, but Eddie doesn't understand anything Venom said. Cut from there, Anne's boyfriend shows the doctor. He gives Anne a call and says that Addie's condition is a bit serious. The kidney glands in the body system are working abnormally, so he asks to bring Addie to the hospital. Eddie takes the evidence he has and goes to meet his boss. But the security doesn't let Eddie go to meet him. So while Eddie was thinking, Venom asked if he wanted to go up the building, so after Eddie said yes, Venom asked why you didn't tell me that before. Venom and Eddie went to the top of the building. Venom comes up to see the beautiful surroundings, but at the same time, Venom says to Eddie, "It doesn't matter how beautiful it is, all these things will be destroyed in a short time." But at the same time, the plane is leaving here. So you know that Venom can't hear loud noises. That's why Venom, Eddie's body goes inside. That's why Eddie starts falling down from the top of the building. Eddie is scared and screams that you should not come and save me. At the same time, Venom comes out and saves him and takes him to the room where the boss was. After going there, the photos were taken by Eddie because it was on the phone. The phone was also left there and a note was written. As soon as Eddie comes out of the building, grab Eddie and a whole arm comes. But Eddie tells them without any fear, "If you have a passion for your lives, leave here." But since that was not the case, the Venom inside Eddie's body came out and started attacking the soldiers there. While Venom is attacking like this, Anne, who came there, sees it and starts screaming in fear. At that time, Venom turns back into Eddie and comes to Anne and asks her to heal him. Anne feels sad about this and takes Eddie to the hospital in the car. While going to this hospital, Anne learns many things that Venom is afraid of fire and loud noise. On the other hand, when Drake goes to the lab, there is no one in the lab. So when I asked what was going on, when I looked a little, there came a little girl. This little girl is none other than the other symbiote inside her body. So when Drake goes to this little girl and talks, that girl grabs Drake's neck. At the same time, the symbiote from the girl's body enters Drake's body. Now they are going to take Eddie to the hospital and give him medicine. But Venom doesn't like this one bit. But Dan says that you need to take medicine anyway. And when he tries to touch Eddie, Venom comes out and grabs Dan by the neck. Anne, who saw this, is very afraid of the sounds of Venom, so she turns on the scanning machine that these institutions had. Venom finds it difficult to stay inside Eddie's body because of that sound, and Venom comes out of Eddie's body. At the same time, Eddie is taken out of the room and the symbiote is locked in the room. Now Eddie points his finger at Venom and says, "You have tortured me so much by sitting inside my body. Now you can do whatever you want by yourself." Eddie leaves the room. But at the same time, Drake's group comes and injects Eddie with a drug to make him lose consciousness. But those people don't know that Venom is not inside Eddie's body. On the other side, the AC of the symbiote trapped in that room goes out and enters the body of a dog. After that, he goes straight and stops near Anne, so Anne thinks, "Why this dog is looking at me?" Now, after tying Eddie to a chair, Drake comes and asks, "Where is Venom?" And then Eddie says, "I don't know where he is. Even if I know, I won't tell you." Because of this, Drake gets angry and suddenly another symbiote comes out. Even after all these things, since Eddie's symbiote has not come out, he thinks that Eddie doesn't have his symbiote and tells his disciples to kill him too and leaves. So after getting out of there, the symbiote next to Drake tells him, "There are many other people like us in our world. They all do what I say. We have to bring them into this world." As soon as he heard that story, Drake said, "I'll do this as soon as possible," and he prepared to send an approaching rocket. Now, when they take him to the middle of a forest to kill Eddie and point guns at him, everyone starts disappearing. So when Eddie sees it, he realizes that Venom has come here. So Venom kills Drake's group, so Venom is now inside Anne's body. After that, the Venom enters Eddie's body. Venom tells Eddie, "We have a big job. We must destroy Drake's plane. They will start leaving soon." While going, Eddie asks Venom, "Why are you trying to stop this rocket?" At that time, Venom says, "Not only me, but also several others came to this world. One of them is called Riot. He is the leader of our group, suddenly the Rocket. If one takes it, if others also come into this world will be destroyed, so we have to stop him as soon as possible. Eddie is surprised to hear this story. Eddie asks, why did you change to be a good person now? At that time, Venom says, I changed because of you, Eddie. Venom started a friendship with V. On the other hand, Drag tells his rocket-paying team that the rocket will be sent. But even if they say that they are not ready for it yet, they are preparing to send the rocket regardless of things. Now when Venom comes to the rocket, when Riot is about to board this plane, Venom comes in front of Riot and stops him. Riot calls out to Venom, come with me. But Venom says that will never happen. We will save this world together, and starts fighting with Riot. But since Riot is stronger than Venom, it becomes difficult to fight with Riot. Meanwhile, Anne comes to this center, now fighting with Riot Venom. Riot separates Venom and Eddie and says, you were against me, didn't you? Riot goes to eat Venom. At the same time, Eddie jumps to where Venom is and joins Venom again. These two start fighting again. So seeing these two fighting like this, Anne turns on the speaker in the center and emits a loud noise. So because of this, these symbiotes fall apart. After that, when Eddie hits Drake and pushes him down, Drake comes together with Riot and stabs Eddie with something like a knife. Since there is no Venom with Eddie now, Eddie falls right there. After that, get on the Riot rocket and try to leave. At that time, Venom comes to Eddie and joins with Eddie, takes the knife that was attached to Eddie's chest, jumps into the rocket that is about to leave, and starts destroying this rocket. So you know that these symbiotes have a hard time tolerating noise and fire. At that time, this plane completely explodes and starts burning. So due to fat, the Riot is destroyed and Eddie falls into the water. So after this incident, Anne and V are talking. At this time, Annie asks Eddie, is Venom dead or still there? At time, Eddie says he died and won't come back. But at the same time, Venom's voice is heard from inside Eddie's body, but doesn't tell that to Anne. I said go and come, Eddie leaves. So now these two have become good friends. Eddie says to Venom, if you stay with me, you can't eat every man you see. There are good and bad people in this world. If you eat, you will only eat the bad people. Eddie goes to his friend's shop. A thug comes and scares him and takes the money. And then Venom comes out and scares this guy and cuts off his head. The thrilling adventure of this movie comes to a close for now. Stay tuned as Venom 2 awaits its turn to captivate your senses. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and show your support with a like. Your appreciation drives others to discover and enjoy this content too. Until we meet again, farewell to all. Goodbye.